part 5 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we continue with the April model, and at this point I've separated one of her hands, and I'm going to do the same with the other hand, and then I close the holes under Modify Topology, smooth those out a little bit, and then, just to make things easier, I polygrouped everything rather than multiple polygroups on one portion or section of the character. And now you can see I've gone through, or I'm starting to go through and retopologize with ZRemesher. That way, as I make changes to the body and the hands and the hair and so forth, they will result in a smoother mesh. And now I'm trying to decide what I want to do with the eyes and eyebrows. I explore the idea of Z-remeshing the eyes, but ultimately decided not to. And then I remembered we've got some of the same issues with Raphael. So I cleaned up his shell a little bit, but then I remembered it's going to be a little more complicated to Z-remesh that part of it, so we'll come back to it. Now, just a little file organization. A while back, ZBrush introduced folders, and so it's just a clean way to kind of collect all of your different subtools for each character. So we did that. And now with the hair, I'm trying to get the flow and volume a little closer to what we have in the reference. Now, ultimately, reference is just that. Even though this is an illustration I created myself, it's 2D and it's not gospel. It's not every single thing is going to translate exactly the same into 3D, because I don't see it from all different angles. And as I see things in 3D, and this isn't a cop-out, I promise, I may change it. I might decide, I'm actually liking character's face in this 3D version better, or the length of her hair, and so forth. Now, you've seen me do this before, but adding some teeth using insert mesh, and then I realized that I had to make sure to separate it so that it was by itself, and then just add a bend to it using the 3D gizmo, and just adding those teeth change her look quite a bit, make it closer to the reference. The hair feeling better as well. And now over to the eyebrows. Using the Z Modeler brush, I'm adding additional edge loops so that now when I go into dynamic subdivision, it looks super smooth. I'm still able to adjust it, keep that simplified topology. So now I'm like, you know what? We're out of symmetry mode. It's time to make the face less symmetrical. And this is something I'm going to keep coming back to the very end. I may even paint on a little color at some point to her face, just to get a better idea of what she would look like. People look different when they're bald, and they also look different when they're clay. Now I'm realizing, this isn't how hair works. There's more to do here. Hair comes out of every part of your, the back of your head, and so just using the clay buildup brush and smooth to add some volume into the hair so that it feels like it's connected and flowing out of the right places. And obviously it's a little hard to do when her head is in the way, so that's why I keep toggling in and out of solo mode so that I can get in there and add some volume, some hair flow. I don't know if that's a real term that anyone uses, but hey, we've coined it here on the Create or Die YouTube channel. And then now it's time to ZBrush this thing again. I don't know about you, but she's looking a lot better than she was at the beginning of this tutorial, this portion. Her lips, her expressions still aren't right, but we'll get there eventually. I gotta say it at least once a video, right? That you gotta trust the process. Guess what? Sometimes you're gonna go down the wrong road, and you're gonna pull her mouth open too far, or twist her lips in a weird way, and you're gonna go back and you're gonna have to fix it or undo. It's just part of the process. And here I am revisiting the hair a bit more. So just constant observation, small edits, so forth. I felt like her eyes needed to be rotated a little bit, her eye sockets. And that's what I'm doing with this one, and just scaled it a little bit as well to make it feel a little more cartoony and not symmetrical. Now for the lashes, it's similar to the eyebrows. You know, I had to add some thickness to it, get it generally in the right shape and position, and then using our favorite Z modeler brush pretty soon here, I'm gonna go ahead and add in some edge loops, and then this way we just get something that feels a little more intentional. So once we get all those edge loops in there to keep it tight, and you can do this with creases as well, I'm just not as big a fan of the crease method. But adding that dynamic subdivision, now her eyelashes are smooth. She's looking downright sexy, right? And then again, here I am going back to the mouth, the lips, not quite happy. And then I went a little too rocky with it. Go Adrian! So I had to get in there and dial it back a little bit. And then she's wearing clothing, right? So rather than layering a full shirt and pants and boots and everything, you just sculpt the bodice to kind of start to mimic clothing. Like now her chest area is, you know, it feels like there's fabric being stretched across that area. And then I've used insert mesh to add a cube around her neck, which will become her collar. And I'm not going to worry about modeling everything for the shirt, because we'll just make that part of the body, but I'm roughing in the collar because that obviously extrudes pretty significantly from the body. So you don't want to just pull that and use Dynamesh. You're going to make a lot of work, extra work for yourself. And then duplicating that collar, bring it down around her waist to act as the flowing, furled fabric from her from the bottom of her jacket. So, and even this little bit of shapes, you know, in these places, make her feel like she's dressed now. She's no longer naked. So apologies to all of you all around that may have been sensitive to that. And I kid. This is part of the sculpting process and nothing obscene. That's it for part 5. Wow, we're cranking through these things. Hope you're enjoying it and finding it useful, valuable. If so, give us a like, and even more important, subscribe, because we're gonna keep on keeping on.